In this film, we will show you how to replace the BILSTEIN B4 air suspension module on the front axle of the Porsche Cayenne 958. Please adhere strictly to the instructions shown in the film. Air suspension modules should always be replaced in pairs. It is imperative to heed the manufacturer's specifications regarding the renewal of screws and self-locking nuts, as well as the prescribed tightening torque. When replacing air suspension modules, it is imperative to use the vehicle manufacturer's tools and equipment. Air suspension modules are left and right-hand parts. Check the association of parts prior to installation. Take the air suspension module out of its packaging and check it prior to installation. Please refer to the provided installation instructions and check the expiration date. Measure the length of the BILSTEIN air suspension module and compare it with the minimum length specified in the installation instructions. Prior to removal of the air suspension module, vehicle height is measured and recorded from wheel up center to the bottom edge of the front fender. Attention, this is possible only when the air suspension module is not destroyed. Deactivate the leveling control system. The vehicle is in the car jack mode. Lift the vehicle using the lifting platform support points specified by the manufacturer. Thoroughly check all suspension components for damage. Pay attention especially to the suspension bearings. Attach the diagnostic device and establish the connection. Completely bleed the air suspension module with the help of the diagnostic device. Switch off the ignition. Always remove the ignition key when working on the air suspension module. Remove the wheels. Remove the coverings and open the fixing points of the air suspension module. Loosen the connector from the bracket and disconnect it. Check the cable and connector for possible damage. Remove the fixing nuts at the top on the air suspension module and remove the ring. Always wear the necessary protective equipment when working on the compressed air system. Clean the pressure line connection above the air suspension module. Carefully loosen the pressure line until you hear the sound of effusing air and wait until the residual pressure has dropped completely. Then remove the pressure line connector fully and seal it. Ensure that you do not bend, twist, nor squeeze the pressure line. Loosen and remove existing electronic cables and brackets from the steering stub axle. In the next step, the nut is released from the ball pivot of the upper transverse control arm, but not dismantled completely. The nut is left flush on the pin to protect the thread. Remove the coupling bar. Then dismantle the nut of the lower fixing bolt on the air suspension module. The bolt remains in the transverse control arm. Press the ball pivot off the seat of the steering stub axle using a suitable tool. Remove the nut and swivel the steering stub axle aside. Remove the lower fixing bolt and remove the air suspension module. The installation of the new air suspension module is analogous to the removal in reverse order. Attention! Tighten all articulated suspension relevant screw connections on bearings only in the construction state, KO position. Insert the new air suspension module and insert the lower fastening screw hand tight. Swivel the air suspension module inwards and mount the upper transverse control arm. Mount the coupling bar. Screw the air suspension module with the lower transverse control arm. Mount existing cables and brackets to the steering stub axle. Loosen the locking screw on the pressure line connection of the air suspension module and remove it carefully. Remove the centrally inserted bracket of the cutting ring. Replace the screw and the cutting ring on the vehicle's pressure line. Pay attention to the correct alignment of the cutting ring. Mount the pressure line on the air suspension module. During installation, heed the manufacturer's instructions regarding the torque. Ensure that you do not bend, twist, nor squeeze the pressure line. Mount the ring with the nuts of the upper fixture of the air suspension module and attach the previously removed components. It is imperative to heed the manufacturer's instructions regarding the renewal of screws and self-locking nuts, as well as the required tightening torque. Attach the connectors of the electronic cables to the air suspension module and fix them to the corresponding bracket. Attention! Never lower the vehicle from the lifting platform with a depressurized air suspension module. Attach the diagnostic device and establish the connection. Fill the air suspension module via the diagnostic device according to manufacturer's specifications. Check the pressure line connection for leakage. The leak tightness of the entire system must be guaranteed. Attach the wheels professionally. Lower the vehicle down to the first ground contact of the wheels and then start the engine. Deactivate the carjack mode. Let the engine run for at least 2 minutes and then lower the vehicle with the engine running to the previously measured level or to the series standard height. Activate the vehicle's lifting mode. Wait until the vehicle independently lifts up from the lifting platform. Only then is it allowed to fully lower the lifting platform. Install the covering in the engine compartment. Fasten the screw connections in the bearings in the construction state, KO position, according to the manufacturer's instructions. Always align the axles after working on suspension parts.
BILSTEIN. Drive the legend.